When was the last time you saw one of these on Aussie roads? The Mercedes-Benz X-Class, yeah, remember that thing? Lately, we've been swamped with new and updated utes. The BYD Shark, GWM Cannon Alpha, even Geely Radara, and it got us thinking, whatever happened to Mercedes' luxury ute experiment? Because let's be honest, Australia loves its utes. They're tough, they're practical, and just as much a cultural icon as they are a utility vehicle.
Bugger.
Must be stuck in third.
Because there are no shortcuts out here. Except for that one.
I bloody love that Holden ute ad. Akadaka and Dirt Donuts, pure art. Anyway, a few years back, Mercedes-Benz decided to throw its hat into the ring, launching the X-Class. It was a ute, but a luxurious one. Yet, 3 years later, it was gone. So today, we're diving into the short, strange life of the Mercedes-Benz X-Class. Mercedes launched the X-Class in 2017 with fanfare, style and a very clear mission: break into the booming global ute market. But more than that, they had their sights set on Australia, where utes aren't just popular, they are dominant, accounting for nearly 20% of new car sales. And it wasn't a wild idea. The average Aussie ute buyer was already spending more than ever, with premium versions of the Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger pushing above $60,000, even back in 2017. And with Mercedes-Benz passenger cars outselling its nearest prestige rival by almost 2 to 1, the business case made sense. At the time, Mercedes-Benz head honcho, Dr. Dieter Zetscher, said, "The X-Class will close one of the last remaining gaps in our portfolio. Our target is to offer customers vehicles matching their specific needs. The X-Class will set new standards in a growing segment." Is that just me, or is that Dr. Eggman from Sonic movies?
Where are my manners? Sonic?
Now, Mercedes-Benz has a long history in commercial vehicles. We're talking trucks, vans, buses, even crazy off-road machines like the Unimog. That thing is wild. But it might surprise you that this was not their first ute. Back in the 1970s, they actually made a 220D pickup. But here's the twist: it was only ever sold in Argentina. Why? Well, at the time, Argentina had massive import tariffs, and car makers had to get creative to sell anything at all. It was built entirely in Argentina. It wasn't fancy, no leather seats, no luxury trim, just a diesel workhorse with a 3-pointed star. And yeah, it stayed in Argentina. Because let's face it, no one in Germany was asking for a paddock-bashing Merc with a tray and no air conditioning.
Bugger.
So, making a ute wasn't unprecedented for this German brand, but doing it globally at luxury car prices for the Aussie market, that was new territory altogether. When Mercedes unveiled the X-Class concept in 2016, the hype was justified. Sculpted fenders, huge wheels, LED light bars, leather interiors, and those epic LED taillights. Mercedes was entering the ute game with swagger. This wasn't a rebadged work truck, it was a statement. Fans lined up, dealers took pre-orders, and then, in 2017, this showed up. The production model looked a little bit similar, but it had lost its aggression. The headlights looked too friendly, and the inspired LED taillights that really gave the rear end presence were replaced with a conservative design that looked like every other dual cab ute out there. And it was a similar story with the interior. The wow factor from the concept truck had all but disappeared, replaced with a plain Jane fit-out, complete with cheap-looking plastics and a clunky infotainment system. In fact, a vast majority of the parts used in the X-Class were borrowed from another vehicle, and the problem was that the other vehicle was not a Mercedes. Indeed, the X-Class wasn't built from the ground up by Mercedes. It was based on the Nissan Navara, a ute already on Aussie roads. Sure, Mercedes polished the interior, tuned the suspension, and made it look a little bit like a Benz. But the core of the vehicle, the chassis, the drivetrain, even the 2.3-litre twin-turbo diesel engine in the base model, all Navara.
Step inside the X-Class and superficially it does look luxurious, but the surfaces are hard and some of the plastics quality is reasonably average. It's high quality for a truck, but it's not high quality for Mercedes-Benz.
The reviews were average at best, and at the end of the day, Mercedes was asking buyers to pay a premium for what many saw as a reskinned Japanese ute. Even when Mercedes added the X350D variant in late 2018, powered by a 3-litre turbo diesel V6 that Mercedes built itself, it didn't help. The X-Class also suffered from a bit of an identity crisis, and if this commercial was anything to go by, not even Benz knew who they were targeting. Although you can tell that TV ad never ran in Australia because that type of driving got banned a long time ago.
Bugger me.
Anyway, it was marketed as a lifestyle ute aimed at cashed-up tradies and families who wanted versatility and luxury in one package. But in reality, Aussie ute buyers tend to fall into two camps: tradies who want durability, payload and value, and then recreational buyers who want performance, towing capacity and off-road credibility. The X-Class didn't really beat its competitors in either area, and the luxury trim, it didn't go far enough. No air suspension, no cutting-edge infotainment, no real wow factor. And when you consider the X-Class started at over $45,000 back then for the Bogo model, and the top-spec V6 went close to $80,000, it just didn't add up. From the beginning, the Mercedes-Benz X-Class had one big problem. It just didn't sell. Mercedes had planned to sell tens of thousands a year, but by 2019 it was clear the demand was not there. In fact, the X-Class only scraped into the ute top 10. In its best year, Mercedes sold just over 2,000 units in Australia. The Ford Ranger was doing almost double that in 1 month, and the X-Class's cheaper donor car, the Navara, was also monstering it in terms of sales. Globally, it was the same story. The X-Class struggled in Europe, barely registered in Latin America, and completely missed the mark in South Africa. All of them key ute markets. And then came 2020, the pandemic, global supply chain chaos, and a brutal reassessment of which cars actually made financial sense. The X-Class just didn't stack up. So in 2020, Mercedes pulled the plug. And just like that, the X-Class became a short-lived experiment, a rare chapter in ute history that never quite fit the market it was built for. Last time I checked, there were about 170 X-Classes for sale on carsales here in Australia, ranging from $23,000 all the way up to $91,000.
Tell him he's dreaming.
So the Mercedes-Benz X-Class flopped in Australia. Too expensive, not tough enough, and it never really felt like a real ute. But here's the twist. Aussies are still dropping big bucks on dual cab utes, just not the European kind. Sales of full-sized American trucks like the Ram 1500 and Chevy Silverado have been strong for years. And while those numbers are nowhere near utes like the Ford Ranger, they're way more expensive than the X-Class ever was. They're bigger, heavier, thirstier, and yet Aussies can't get enough of them. So why did the X-Class fail while these giants prospered? Well, the American trucks own what they are. They're big, they're loud, they're unapologetically tough. They're not pretending to be something they're not. The X-Class, on the other hand, kinda was. But who knows? In a few years, the X-Class might just become one of those quirky collector's gems. Either way, it's a reminder that in Australia, the ute game is serious business. And sometimes, even a star on the bonnet just isn't enough. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the ride. This whole video actually started because I saw a Mercedes-Benz X-Class on the road and thought, hang on, what happened to those utes? So we dug in and here we are. Now, this style of video is something new for us, but honestly, the team had a blast putting it together. If there's a car that's been stuck in your head lately, something you haven't seen in a while, or you're wondering what went wrong, drop us a line in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.